สิงคโปร์ได้รับการจัดอันดับให้เป็นเมืองที่มีศักยภาพสำหรับการลงทุนและมีสภาพแวดล้อมเหมาะกับการทำธุรกิจมากที่สุดเมืองหนึ่งของโลกด้วยนโยบายสนับสนุนจากภาครัฐสภาพตลาดแรงงานที่มีคุณภาพระบบสาธารณูปโภคที่ดีและการมีประสิทธิภาพในด้านการเงิน
What are the advantages of doing businesses in Singapore?
I hate to say this, but we are actually a very pro-enterprise government. So it's easy for companies to start up in Singapore. So you can register a company and you can very quickly go online and register a company within a few hours, couple of hours. And there are a lot of support infrastructure here. Most of the registration processes, how to start businesses are very transparent. And there are a lot of support schemes I mentioned earlier to help even young startup companies. So it becomes a magnet for companies that want to maybe come to the region and do business in the region. I think the infrastructure, so things works here, be electricity, be access to transportation. It's a very good air hub, for example. So people can come here and then fly out within a 7-hour radius, for example. You can get access about 2.5 billion people in the whole region. So it's a very good location, a strategic location for people to locate here.
So there are no disadvantages at all?
Disadvantage probably the small domestic market. So unfortunately, we only have a very small domestic market. We have geographically only about 710 square kilometers, about 5.2, 5.3 million people. So the market here is very small. But I think small is sometimes beautiful. So you can use this as a test bed. So Singapore becomes a very good test bed for new concepts, new technology. So the whole island is wired, is cable, is fiber optics link. So in terms of information technology, in terms of communications, it becomes a very good test bed for companies.
But isn't it pretty expensive to set up a business in Singapore because rent is very high, salaries is pretty high as well?
I think those are factors of business costs. Yes, we agree that the rental is not cheap here and salaries are high. But I think at the end they look at the total business cost. So yes, it's high, but it's efficient. So we have a highly talented labor force here. So we know that the efficiency, maybe in terms of instead of hiring 2 or 3 persons in some countries, you can hire 1 person to do the same job. So in terms of total effectiveness, it's still efficient.
สำหรับความโปร่งใสในการทำธุรกิจสิงคโปร์ได้รับการจัดอันดับให้เป็นประเทศที่มีคอร์รัปชันน้อยเป็นอันดับ 3 ของโลกในปี 2013 โดยองค์กรเพื่อความโปร่งใสนานาชาติ
Is transparency also a big draw factor for investors to come and set up shops here in Singapore?
Definitely. I think transparency is extremely important. I think businesses cannot live with uncertainty. So when they bid for projects and so forth, they need to know that it's transparent. I think that's one advantage that we have. So in terms of tendering for projects and so forth, be it government projects or private company projects, companies are assured that what they present will be what's on the table, and they know that if they are good, I mean it's all meritocracy based on quality of proposals and projects, not so much based on other factors which in some countries may not be very transparent.
In doing businesses in Singapore, is there such things as having to pay tea money for officials in running your business, setting up your business?
Not that I know of. We run through an education which teaches us to be honest, So if I've never ever been approached or asked to give tea money to any officials. Personally, I wouldn't dare to. I think we have a system that would make it a big problem for anyone who does. Which is a good thing.
อีกปัจจัยหนึ่งที่มีส่วนในการเสริมสร้างศักยภาพการเป็นศูนย์กลางการทำธุรกิจของสิงคโปร์คือการโปรโมทอุตสาหกรรมไมซ์หรือการจัดงานประชุมและนิทรรศการต่างๆในสิงคโปร์เพื่อดึงดูดนักธุรกิจให้มาสิงคโปร์ผ่านการจัดงานเหล่านี้เมื่อปี 2012 ICCA สมาคมด้านการประชุมนานาชาติของโลกจัดอันดับให้สิงคโปร์เป็นเมืองสำหรับการจัดประชุมที่ดีที่สุดในเอเชียติดต่อกันเป็นปีที่ 11
Singapore has always been known as a business city, and you can keep this status through the times. How do you do that?
From the perspective of Singapore Tourism Board, it really would be how do we bring more business visitors to Singapore, and why is there a reason for them to want to come to Singapore? And I guess our events, our MICE industry plays very much into that. The view that we take in trying to build our MICE industry is perhaps two or threefold. Firstly, how do we create the kind of content that MICE visitors would be interested in? How do we, bring the relevance of what we are saying to MICE visitors? Why would they want to come to Singapore for a MICE event? Secondly, it would be that we work very, very closely with our MICE industry to enhance the capabilities of our MICE industry so that they are able to create the events that are of interest to the business visitors. And I guess thirdly, the reason why we are a successful MICE city is because we understand that people come for business, but they also want to come and enjoy the city. And we pay specific attention to how we can bring the business and the leisure together as one package as well.
For any business person, if they want to hold events, why should they come to Singapore?
I guess it's because at the end of the day, there are various factors why you want to come to a city for an event. You come to a city because the hygiene factors make a lot of sense. The connectivity is good, efficiency is there in the city, but for me, those are just hygiene factors. The more important factor is you come to a city because A, you know that you are going to meet the right people, and B, you know that you are going to find opportunities to collaborate with people perhaps. For me, Singapore Tourism Board pays a lot of attention to how do we create events that can make those connections for people as well.
Does attracting business people to Singapore through MICE events actually encourage them to set up business in Singapore itself?
Oh, absolutely. I think it does very often showcase to them what the city is about, what is the inherent benefits that the city can offer, what are the efficiencies that the city can bring to them as well, and what are the values that the city can bring to their own businesses.
Despite all competitions that come from other cities in the region in Asia, how does Singapore make itself relevant all the time?
I think it has to be part of our culture. In the case of our great-grandfather, our grandfather, they came here as immigrants. They had to adapt. In our era, we could have got a bit complacent, but now things are happening. You turn around and the whole street changes to high-rise and the new companies that are opening. So unless you have a big inheritance, you can't afford to be complacent because you can't run the race of life. And so I guess we have to learn to love it and enjoy it and thrive in it.
What do you think would the future of Singapore be like?
Well, hopefully we can keep the momentum up. Hopefully our young people will continue to have the energy to run the race. Because when you are affluent, it's very easy to become complacent. So hopefully they're hungry and entrepreneurial, and they will keep on looking for new ideas to bring to Singapore as a lifestyle place.
เพื่อความอยู่รอดของตัวเองสิงคโปร์เป็นประเทศที่คนของเขานั้นคิดตลอดเวลาเลยนะคะว่าจะทำยังไงเพื่อที่จะพัฒนาต่อไปในอนาคตเพื่อที่จะคงความสำคัญของประเทศตัวเองในฐานะศูนย์กลางการทำธุรกิจและนี่แหละค่ะก็คือแรงกระตุ้นสำคัญที่จะทำให้เราเห็นอะไรใหม่ๆออกมาจากสิงคโปร์ตลอดเวลาค่ะพบกันใหม่สัปดาห์หน้าวันนี้สวัสดีค่ะ